going to be hopefully getting a little more formalized so that, for instance, you who would need help to try to find out who did I come from, which of the Science brothers, if not all of them, did I come from, and how do I get started in that? Because after that, once you get to that point, then it's a matter of going to the courthouse, the appropriate courthouse, and filing the documents, and that you have to know where you came from, who, you know, their birth certificate, their death certificate, or marriage certificate, and establish that lineage to get back to that. After that, you know, there's certain things going on. The state of Texas, I'm going to change tracks here. The state of Texas set up a pool of money, and what they did was they required, and started like in '69.
18 or 19?
19.
1969.
Here in 1969, they started looking at laws. By 1980, the oil companies that were producing out of these lands that had unknown heirs had to put them in the state coffers. By 1985, that already changed the law a little bit because this pot was getting kind of big, and the state decided, well, if they don't claim this money, we're going to spend it. And so every 3 years then, after the laws changed, the state now spends that. There's been no real accounting of how or how much. Prior to that, the way the law is read was if an oil company was going to drill in an area and they could only account for X percent, you only needed so much percent of royalty owners to drill on a piece of land. If you cannot find the other ones, they become the unknown heirs. Well, that percentage is set up in a trust, and so that money is just deposited there. When the state changed the law and said that it would go to the state, they didn't tell them, you need to deposit all the money that you have in these trusts with us. They only said from here forward, you're going to have to deposit all that money. So as these oil companies changed hands, where did the money go? Well, of course, it moved with the next company into another bank or into another, perhaps, money market or manager fund. We're beginning to track that down because that's where there is probably quite a bit. And so, again, our purpose is to help people identify where they came from, establish their lineage, what paperwork they need, and then help them, if we can identify this money, disperse it.
This, I know we're going to be running out of time. We still have a little bit of time, but we have one more guest after this.
Brief 5 minutes.
Brief 5 minutes, but for right now, and then I know we'll give you a few more minutes, but for people that are watching that are interested, that want to learn more, that are in this situation of wanting to learn their airship or just learn more about it because maybe they're interested, maybe they feel that you know, one of their ancestors could have been part of this. How do they get a hold of you, or how do they get a hold of the organization so they can learn more, so they get in touch with the right people so that they can start doing their own homework or connect with people that are doing that work already and try to put all these pieces together, because it seems like it's going to just continue to move forward.
It should. We started a year ago. We're over 700 in less than that, in less time than that. If they wanted to contact and get in our organization, you'd be looking at www.tejanolandgrantmovement.com. That's a good place to start. Register on the site. You begin to read a lot of these histories. We have a section set up for people that don't have their genealogy, so they can begin to get into a group, and we can show them what they need to do. And there's many people that want to help. Of all those people that are in there, so many already know, and they're willing to help people get started.
And I know some family members have started kind of, in my family, kind of doing their own work, and I guess through all these great websites that are online now that connect people, and even are pulling up documents or connecting to great-great-great-grandparents and pulling up birth certificates from Mexico or Spanish birth certificate or what have you, and you're getting to be able to find them online because they're getting scanned. I mean, using that as a tool as well to kind of help you put everything together and also maybe connect with the Tejano land grant.
Exactly. And once you get in and you begin to find people from the same land grants, and you begin to talk to them, and some of them already have their trees, and so you can begin to put this all together, and you see where you came from. And many people will find they actually belong to multiple families or multiple land grants, because they did intermarry. I mean, they lived down there. There were not that many people. And but you start with where you know you were from, and you get that direct line, and then you begin to work out from there as time goes. And there's people out there to help, and that's why we're here.
Well, you know, Renee wasn't kidding when he said we could spend probably the whole hour, if not more, just talking on this one issue alone. And I know you probably still have a few more questions before we switch over. So.
Really quick, I mean, you're talking about going back to New Spain. You're looking about the 1760s. If a person did want to go on their own, are they looking at going into not only Texas documents, but going to Mexico and even potentially Spanish documents, having to go that far back?
It depends on how far you want to go. I mean, if we're talking just to the land grant itself, the original grantees, so to speak, are listed on each grant. And that information, in terms of the kids that they had, that's listed in the churches and that in Mexico. Some of it, as you said, in like Ancestry.com, for instance, you can search for some of these people, and there's quite a few other websites.
Now, the comptroller's office, is it the comptroller or the land commission? Which one is it?
There's
Texas
both.
Land Commission. They have the documents on it.
They don't have the original grantees that we are able to get, and that's kind of been an issue. Mexico has them. That at this point, you need to establish yourself to that grant. The land grant movement is already going to move beyond that once we can get people set up in terms of what porción they came from. Hopefully to provide an avenue one day to get the actual grants. But that's for a whole other issue, because now, you know, if the government, our government, and we are Americans, isn't going to be willing to step up to the plate, and that is the elected officials, and recognize that there was an injustice, well then the only other avenue is probably the World Court. And I would like to think that once we educate the current officials, that they will come around and begin to help solve this, and there won't be a need in terms of finding it for historical value, and that is a good one.
And in terms of wealth history, I think, and knowing exactly who you are is probably even much more valuable than
Yes,
than
because then you
money
make the
itself.
jump to Spain, to the Canary Islands, to Brazil. I mean,
Right,
we have, they
right.
all came up from that.
We have ours from the Canary Islands, so
There you go.
yeah.
Well, Mr. Canales, appreciate you coming on again one last time. If people want to contact you, how do they contact you?
TejanoLandGrantMovement.com.
www.tejanolandgrantmovement.com. Okay.
Now I know why Renee does so much research on all of this. It's just fascinating, and I wish we could have more time, and hopefully we can set it up to bring you back again. We're going to get into politics season with a lot of debates, but maybe find some middle time in there, or maybe shortly right after that, because this is awesome, and I think it's about education. It's about educating the public, let them know what is rightfully theirs, and just to find the truth and to be able to find out what is due to you and what your ancestors would have wanted their offspring, their future generations to have and to possess, which is the land. So thank you for coming. Good to have you here.